Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. All right, Pete, you ready? Yeah. You ready, brother?
Let's go.
Okay. All right, so this is for Clementine and Otis. So a big shout out to our sponsors this week. If you're in Australia, go and get some Indo soles for summer. They've got thongs, as we call them in Australia, slides. In America, they call them flip-flops, sandals, and they're all made from recycled motor vehicle tyres. So go to indosole.com, that's INDOSOLE.com, and you'll be automatically redirected to the distributor in your region. So, for example, if you're in Australia, you'll just go to indosole.com.au, and they'll be hooking you up with fast delivery. When you're at checkout, use promo code THT and you'll get a discount. But more importantly, you'll be advocating for conscious consumerism. Ew. Next one up, Crush Organics. Love these guys. They make CBD products. If you go to crushorganics.com, that's KRUSHORGANICS.com, use code THT at checkout and get that epic 40% discount. CBD is like such a great natural supplement. It's done so much for me. And to be clear, it has no psychoactive ingredients. I get asked that a lot. Like, it's got no THC in it, but it has all the other good properties of cannabis. And I find it to be excellent for like pain relief and in reducing inflammation as well, all done naturally. So go and check it out and improve your health. And it is officially legal in Australia now as of February last year. So go and check it out. Next up, Kingpin Skate Supply. Man, I love these guys. They're my friends, but also they've just got the best brands of skate shoes, skate decks, clothing. So if you go to kingpinstore.com, that's KINGPINSTORE.com, use code THT at checkout and get that 15% discount, fast shipping worldwide, and support local small business. Now, speaking about small local business, okay, a shout out to the Cronulla Beer Co. So Peter, our friend, past guest, he's friends with these guys, Adam and Chad, and they've got the Cronulla Beer Co. And I know I'm a non-drinker, but I'm definitely an advocate for small business, especially when it's local. But I'm not an anti-drinker either, so always drink responsibly, obviously. But I just love supporting grassroots small businesses, you know, who are producing the goods. And from what I hear, it tastes pretty good. Does it taste all right?
Tastes delicious.
Tastes delicious, Pete. All right, let's do this. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks.
Good to be you, man.
Whoa.
Three, two, one. All right, do this. Today's guest is Lance Morgan. Lance is a husband, father, aviation firefighter, and ocean photographer. Lance recently scored the cover shot of Surfing World magazine for his capture of big wave charger and past guest Lockie Rombouts. And today, Lance is with me live and in person at his home in Cronulla, Australia, to share his journey, experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Mr. Lance Morgan, welcome.
Howdy, how's it going?
And a big shout out to past guest and co-host this week and photographer, Mr. Peter Balmer.
How's it going?
Dude, remember when I had you on the show and I kept calling you Peter Balmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like my chance at redemption.
You didn't fact
Glad you learned
check.
your lesson, though.
You know, I was thinking about why I kept calling you Peter Balmer. Because remember when I was in London, they had this cider called Balmer's.
Balmer's.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Isn't it Bulmers?
Yeah, Balmer's.
Balmer's.
Bulmers,
Yeah.
B-U-L.
And my mind just did this word association. Anyway, it's good to have you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me back.
So, Lance, dude, I just want to talk quickly about your cover shot in Surfing World. I mean, that's not primarily why I wanted to have you on the podcast, but, man, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's pretty surreal kind of feeling. It's sort of a goal that I'd had, I think, for the last 2 years or so, especially like moving down to Sydney I knew that the heavier waves were in the area, and that's kind of what I prefer to chase. So, yeah, I'm stoked to get it with Lockie too, because he is just an animal out there, and he's so underrated, and I'm glad that he's on the cover and he deserves it.
Is it your first cover shot?
It's my second, but the first one it was years ago, and it was with like a smaller sort of not really known magazine. So this one really, this one counts a lot more.
Surfing World's the best.
It is
Yeah.
The OG.
Yeah.
It's OG, isn't
Yep,
it?
100%.
Like, as a photographer or photographers in this digital world, how important is it to get print media shots?
I think right now it's very important because there's only a couple of them left. So it's very hard to get in there. There's a lot of competition, and I mean, you're not really getting much for it, but you're getting recognition off your peers, and I think it just shows all the hard work that you're putting into.
Like street cred.
Yeah, street cred pretty much.
You kind of are.
Ocean cred.
Yeah, totally.
I reckon it's more cred with Surfing World because the photos that are in Surfing World are like more creative. The surfers are a bit more core. The
Very high
stories
caliber.
The stories are better. Less about stickers, more about the person, I feel. So
Definitely. There's not many sponsored surfers in there. You know what I mean? It's more, just the core guys that are doing it for the love.
Do you think it's Sean Doherty who's driving in that direction?
I think
'Cause
both of them,
the editor.
and John as well.
Yeah.
And I know that they're both pumping their own money into it. It's not like they've got, Billabong paying for someone to be on the front cover or...
John Frank's a photographer, and he's from Cronulla too. I don't think he was born here, but so having him pick your photos to be in that magazine is a huge honour. Because if you look back at his work, it's
his
incredible
back
what he was
catalogue's
doing with film.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, and Sean's obviously Sean Doherty.
It's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
And I love
He's
what
a-
Sean stands for too, and he's very he's very vocal about all of that. So
What do you mean you love what
just
he
the
stands
whole
for?
environmental side of things, and where we're going with the world and our country in particular. And
Is that important to you?
oh yeah, massively.
Why?
Because I'm in the ocean every day. I'm out in nature. I've just started doing a bit of rock climbing and stuff. So, I'm just seeing every angle from outside. So and if we ruin that, it would be absolutely devastating for me.
Yeah.
Imagine going swimming out there and it was oil all through the water. It'd be horrible.
Feels like it's even more important when you bring a child into the world too. Hey?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And like you're thinking, what's it going to be like in 30 years when I look back 30 years now for me? And I'm like, well, it's changed a lot. So, I'm really stoked on what Sean's doing and, that work that he's advocating.
That's why I love surfers. That's why I love photographers. Here's a bit of a curveball question. Do you feel like when you are in the ocean shooting photos, you are more connected to the ocean than when you are surfing? And there's a reason why I'm asking that question.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a different thing, but it's different but the same. I don't know. I get the same buzz off like just being out there and shooting and being in the ocean as I do when I'm surfing. I mean, nothing can beat a barrel, really, but...
But I was going to say, like, this is... I think I said this to Pete when I had him on, like... And this is a legit question I wrote down, right? What gives you more satisfaction, getting barreled or getting an epic shot of someone else getting barreled?
Yeah.
And I think Pete said, it's the same. And, like... I find it really hard to believe.
Lance gets more barreled than the surfer most of the time, hey?
Well, you kind of get double the stoke too. I think that's what he said, because you're getting the shot, you're in the zone, you're feeling the energy, and then they're coming back and high-fiving you going, did you get it? Or they're paddling past and you're going, man, I just got the most epic shot. And then they're stoked on stoked sort of thing. So, yeah, I guess I don't know, I reckon it's even. It's hard.
So hard to comprehend. Like,
Yeah, I don't think I can even really compare it, to be honest. It's just, different levels of stoke.
where'd you grow up?
I kind of have a pretty long backstory about that. So I was born in Ireland, in Dublin. That's where my mum's side of the family is, and they all still reside there. And then from there, I think we moved to the UK, and then Malta and Libya and and the Solomon Islands and New Zealand, and then Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sydney.
Okay, so
Talk
why
about
so much?
fidgety.
Who, me?
Lance.
Lance, I'm fidgety. I was like, I'm sitting here going, it's my back's a bit sore.
Oh, do you want to chuck that behind you?
Nah, I'm good, bro. Okay, why so much moving around?
So my
a young age?
dad was an accountant, and I'm not entirely sure how he's wrapped up with it all, but he worked for oil companies and just kind of larger companies. So he worked Malta and Libya. We were working for oil companies there, and so I don't know. I feel like maybe he was like a Mr. Fix-It, go in and sort the books out and then move on to the next contract. And then when we went from there to the Solomon Islands, he was working for Toyota there. And then, long story short, but the Solomon Islands kind of fell apart.
Epic.
Civil war and all that kind of stuff. So, but that was probably my favourite place to live.
Because it's in the Pacific?
Just because my age at the time, I think I was 6 or around then when we got there, and 10 when I left, and we lived absolute beachfront. Out the front of our house was a big barrier reef. Next door was a village. I would come home from school, be in a canoe, just paddling around. We'd go and there was my parents were mad scuba divers, so they were diving on wrecks literally out the front of our house, and just coming home with just all stuff from these wrecks and then you could go walking in the jungle just behind our house, and there was army tanks there, and
wow.
So when you're 6 to 10 years old, you imagine your mind is just going out of this world. I'm out there fishing with a net or a bucket or just my hands if I could on the reef, and yeah, it was just the most incredible time.
Amazing, dude.
And I look at I've always had this opinion, when I have kids, I want to give them at least a portion of what I had there, because it was complete freedom to be me and just explore the outside world. And maybe that's why I also have that affinity with the environment and stuff like that.
I was about to ask you, is that where your love for the environment started?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And animals too, because living in a jungle or a rainforest on the beach with a thriving coral reef out the front. So yeah, I would just be down there every day, even before school, with a bucket, just catching octopus or crabs and bringing it back, showing Mum. And Mum, this probably isn't the best thing for conservation, but Mum called it Auschwitz, I think, because the animals would go to my bucket and then they'd get left in the sun. And I'd forget and go to try to catch something else.
You just conjured a memory of my younger brother. He used to just commit, for lack of a better word, snail genocide.
Yeah.
So it's a terrible,
microwave?
it's the worst word. No, you just go and collect snails out of the garden, put them in a jar, right, put the lid on it, and then just put them in the sun. I was like, it's brutal.
See, yeah, I wasn't. It was never intentional. It's just your mind as a 6 or 7 year old is that, 5 minute.
Attention span.
Yeah, 5 minute attention span. And so you put it, hey, Mum, come look at this. She comes, has a look, I put it down. Then I'm like, I'm going on the trampoline. And then you've just forgotten that it's there. And Mum's usually there going, damn it, taking the bucket back down, throwing all the stuff back in the ocean before they die or yeah.
Did your parents care about the environment like you do now?
No, I wouldn't say so. But I wouldn't say they weren't anti-environment. I think just back then, this is early 90s, the environment was still kind of taking a back seat. People weren't really talking about it nowhere near as much.
Yeah.
Or mainstream media definitely hadn't woken up to anything like that. Or
no, it wasn't really on the table for discussion.
No. And especially in the Solomon Islands, there was no TV or no radio. So
what the hell?
Yeah, no TV or no radio.
Amazing.
So
no Netflix?
No nothing, man. No nothing. I didn't even wear shoes to school for the 4 years that I was there. When we came to Australia, I had apparently a big tantrum with my mum because she's like, you got to wear shoes to school. And I was like, why? Why do we have to wear these? She's like, you just have to. That's what everyone does. And I was like, but I've never worn them before.
Yeah.
Why now?
We're so programmed.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though. Why do we wear shoes if we don't want to?
Yeah.
It's actually, isn't it good for your feet for them to be spread out and walking on?
Well, man, I used to run barefoot on coral. I was I'm not even joking. If I saw something like a dolphin or something off the back of the reef, I would run straight across the coral with no shoes on because I just never wore shoes. So I just had
rough feet,
islander feet.
Yeah,
they were just thick.
Yeah, and they do toughen up quite quick.
100%.
Yeah, like when I was living in Bali, because I used to like to walk up the reef and get away from the crowds a bit to go to that end of the reef. I won't say the actual names of the spots, but everyone knows, there's no secret. But I was literally like, when I wasn't at work, I'd be like, no shoes on, because I know that I want to walk up the reef at Ulus.
Yeah.
And it's going to be way better.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was.
Yeah, and you're grounded too, like your feet in the sand. It's so much better.
Would you say that you are still inquisitive by nature? Because you sound like you're an inquisitive kid.
100%.
Why?
Like, so, a good example is took my girlfriend then to the Mentawis, and we just she's
That's
been there for like a week or something. She's getting pretty bored. I'm frothing, surf every day, and I'm like, oh, let's just go for a walk. And then I'm walking along, and I just start like throwing rocks over. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, this is just a game I used to play on my own when I was younger, flipping rocks, and you just see what animals you can find. Next rock we flip, massive octopus under it, and she just absolutely lost her mind. She's flipping every single rock for the rest of the trip. She loved it.
So you still have that knowledge, like from when you're a kid.
I guess so.
Isn't it amazing how those experiences as a kid become so ingrained? Such formative years. You're a sponge, aren't you?
Definitely. Yeah. And that was And there was. I'm trying to signal for a beer over
Pete's
here.
doing the beer wave.
There was so much stuff that I learned there that children just don't learn here.
Yeah,
and they're just so, like I was saying, no TV, no radio. Like imagine, I don't even know how my mum got through that.
Totally, man. I mean, and also, like you said, like just let's face it, technology, TVs, computers, laptops. I mean, it clutters our brain, So you just had free range to, like you said, connect with your environment, which
definitely,
it's not that common these days. Yeah. Like even in those remote areas now, a lot of those young children they're getting exposed to mobile phones quite early, and along with that comes more visuals and they can watch more things. So, but one of the questions I had was like all that traveling around as a young person. Like, what about your education? So, were you moving from school to school?
Yeah, school to school, which was hard. You're always, making new friends or trying to make new friends, and that can be very difficult. But as a child, I guess you're very open, and you just go and teacher goes, you're going to go hang out with these people. Okay, I am now, and so go and do it. Yeah. But I guess I don't know. Yeah, it's hard when you're doing it all the time, and I guess you're constantly trying to be someone that people might want to be friends with, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you want to fit in with the right crowd even as an adult?
Not so much now, I don't think. Now I've got a bit of social anxiety, so I try to stay away from this.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain. What do you mean social anxiety?
I don't know. Just I just get a bit weird in groups or just around people that I've just met. It takes a lot for me to really go, even saying yes to this, I was like, got to do it. Get out of the comfort zone. Sweet. Say hello to someone you haven't met before. Yeah. Go and talk about your life to them. Let other people listen to it.
I think I hear the term social anxiety more and more these days.
Yeah, definitely.
This isn't a question, but I just wonder if that's a product of our modern way of living.
I think it's probably a product of the internet for me and social media, because you're spending less time talking to people. Like you're meeting people online, or not meeting. That sounds like I'm going out to date people or something. But you're chatting to random people online, but you're not actually talking to them. And the conversation that you can have can be like, "Hey man, did you get waves today?" And you might not get a reply for a day. It's not like you're having a flowing conversation for an hour or 2 hours with someone. So
on that topic, I hate that you can already know everything about somebody before you've even met them. Totally. So when you meet them in real life, you're like, it's not that exciting because I've seen everything you've already done.
Yeah.
I miss learning about somebody.
And even also what someone's done for the whole last month or something like that. So when you do see them, you don't really talk about what you've been doing, because you're like, oh, well, I've already commented on that on Instagram, so I gave you a smiley face, I know.
Yeah, totally. So interesting. As a photographer who relies very heavily on creating, aesthetically pleasing visual images, social media must be a very big part of what you do, obviously. So do you seek like gratification via social media? So if you produce a nice image, how much are you looking at likes and
100%.
and comments?
And that's why,
Does it do your head in?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it does my head in, but I've definitely been trying to have time away from it or limit my time. And that ebbs and flows. Like right now, I just even noticed the other day, I'm like, man, I'm getting heavy on this again. I need to like chill out and like tone it back. Because I did, my wife introduced me to a book, and it's more sort of geared towards women and girls, and it's called, what is it? Melissa Amberossi, Comparisonitis.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's and it basically goes through the whole social media thing and like how we're just comparing ourselves all the time to people, and it's so bad. And she like basically says, you should be, if your business is run on social media, that doesn't mean you have to be on it all day. Like you should be trying to limit yourself to say like half an hour a day or an hour a day. And I did that for 2 weeks, and I felt so good. Like I was like, yeah, I just I get a lot of FOMO and stuff too. Like Pete would know this, like if you get skunked somewhere and then you jump on Instagram and everybody's like blowing up about like up the coast was absolutely cooking, like, and you're seeing all these photos just getting dropped one after another, like it's devastating. And you're just like, and you're just thinking, how did I do this? Why did I do this? Like, why am I here? This was so stupid. So, and then when I did that 2 weeks, like I just didn't see any of that, and I didn't care if people like. And then I spoke to people a week later. I was like, "Oh, did you get waves? Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, cool, yeah." And it didn't affect me because it was like it had already happened. It was a week later, or so it wasn't like And
That's
sometimes
a good point. That's a good point. Yeah,
it's social media is a double-edged sword. One side is longer and sharper than the other side.
From an outsider looking in, though, Lance, I think you're pretty good. Like you're not. You know what I mean? You're not a big poster. You're not putting stories up. Yeah, but when you do post, it's quality.
Yeah, well,
it's good to look at.
That's because I think last year I was like hammering it, like making sure like I'm posting every single day, like I'm putting up stories every day. And then when I read that book, I was like, hold on, I just need to like chill out here. Yeah. Like I was getting too wrapped up in it, and
a lot of your photos are like too good for the gram. Like it's like,
oh, thanks, man. Because I think the same with you.
The amount of time that you put into getting that shot, and all the money that you spend on the gear, for somebody to have a 2-second look then scroll up, it's not worth it. Like,
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Well, that was actually one of my questions. Like, has social media devalued
100%.
photography? So are you sifting, and you might do this too, Pete, like, when you, let's say you have a good session, are you sifting through, okay, like, I'm going to send that to a magazine. That's for Instagram. That's Instagram story. Are you doing that?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Well, it's just grading it really too. It's like so I try not to put any shots which I deem my best shots on Instagram, especially straight away, because I would rather try to get like the one or two maybe in a magazine, because then it goes to print and it's like
that's the ultimate. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's forever then. Like it's. People rarely scroll, past probably 3 finger flicks down on your feed. So
it's obviously a passion. There's no question there. But how much are you trying to turn that passion into a livelihood?
I wouldn't like it to be I would like it to be my main livelihood, but I'm very content with my job as a firefighter. And it's so good. And like I was thinking about it driving today. I was like, I just absolutely love this job.
That's epic.
Dude.
Yeah. And
why? Okay, why? Break it down for us. What do you love about it?
Well, maybe to begin with, I was a carpenter before this for like 10 plus years. 10 years. And then before that, I was pretty much on construction sites from 17 years old, 16 years old. So a long time in construction. Yeah. And I work bloody hard. So like, and that's not me like talking myself up. Like I've even at work now, like I just think like you're at work, you're there to work, like just get it done. Like there's no point like stuffing around because the day doesn't go any quicker and the job still has to be done at the end of the day. And so I was doing carpentry on the Gold Coast, and there was a time that we were doing a nightclub renovation and I was doing 16-hour days and just like absolutely working myself to death. And that's when I started applying to be a firefighter. I just said to my wife, I was like, I've got to do something else. Like this is actually killing me. And she said to me after I got the job, it was a couple of years later I got it, but after I got the job, she was like, you were so unhappy then. Like you were tired all the time. You were cranky all the time. And yeah, I kind of got the shits with that. And then I got into this job after 4 years of trying.
I hear it's hard.
Huh?
I hear it's hard to get into.
Yeah. Very, very hard. Like I think there's like 2,500 people applied for Sydney when I got in, and there was 3 or 4 of us got the job. So yeah, so it's.
How did you get in?
Yeah, what
was the secret?
Just worked my ass off.
Yes.
So like they've got.
When you say work your ass off, what? Like just continually application after application?
So the application process is basically send in your resume, do aptitude tests.
Yep.
Aptitude tests cull the top 90, the bottom 95% are gone.
Okay. Yep.
And then you go and do a physical test, and then you do like group interviews, and then you get selected or you don't get selected. So by the time it gets to the group interviews, it's been about 9 months.
Okay.
And they bring it down to about 20 people, and then it's almost like man on man at that point. Yeah. But yeah, so I was just going and finding like any aptitude test that I could find, anything mentally to try to get my brain in this zone of like how to figure out like these weird, they give you like pictures of like weird pictures, and there'll be four examples, and one of them is the wrong one, but like there's like 10 different things inside of that turn and twist and move, and you've got to find them in about 30 seconds.
Problem solve.
And so yeah, I just studied that as hard as I could. Like every single day I was coming home from work and just going like, sorry, honey, I've got like 1 hour of aptitude training, and then I'm like, I'll do whatever. And then at the same time, I was like, I've got to get in like peak physical condition. So I was going and getting personal training like 3 times a week. And I just put myself in this zone where I was like, I'm getting it 100%. Like in my head, I was like, you are 100% getting this job.
Yeah, man.
And just focused so hard. First time, I pretty much got there, and then they pulled the jobs at the last second, which was devastating, like absolutely devastating. Applied the second time, didn't get it. Third time, got through, and that was about 4 years it took for that whole thing. And
wow.
Yeah, even the interview process, like I was like phoning people up. I was getting on Facebook and finding people in the company and saying, hey, do you remember the interview? I'm applying, I'm through to this stage. And they were like, had no idea. Majority of them didn't reply, but one guy replied from Sydney, and I said to him, mate, is there any chance I can come to the fire station? He's like, yes, sweet. So I flew from the Gold Coast to Sydney to go and have a look at the fire station, then flew back that day. Because I just knew, I was like, it's the 0.5%, 1%ers that are going to get me across the line.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
It's those people that do what other people don't or don't want to do.
And every time somebody said, you should do something like this, not many people are going to do it.
Yep.
I would just go, oh, I don't want to. And then I was like, no, who else is doing it? No one. Okay, I'm going to be the one person that's going to do it. And so then in the interview, I brought up all these things. I'm like, I've been training for the aptitude. I've been doing this. I've been getting coaching for this interview, been doing all this stuff. And I think they were just like, wow, this guy, he really wants this. Like, he wants this more than anyone.
That's a bloody good lesson for some young kids out there right now, eh? Yeah. Wow.
These are the traits of a successful human.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe let's rephrase that. These are traits of a person who realises their dreams.
Yeah. And I just knew that I just had to get out of carpentry at that point. Like, it was just killing me. And it was hard too, because the guy that I worked for, he was a really good mate of mine, and he absolutely loved carpentry. And it was basically, I was living his dream. So he'd just started his building company, and he was like, mate, like, we're here, you may as well commit 100%, like, get on board, let's start doing this. He had me studying all the time, and in my head I was like, yeah, he's right, I'm here, this is what I'm doing, let's do it. And then after 2 or 3 years of doing that, I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I was just worn out, and You know, some people might say, "Oh, well, you should have tried harder" or something like that. But
You tried it, and then you realise it wasn't for you.
yeah,
You know, I think, and I've done this, and I probably still do it to a degree. You know, they'll wallow in something that they don't like because it's safe.
yeah,
You know, and they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. But you that's what you did. You got out of your comfort zone.
yeah.
It's a scary place to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you probably would have walked away from like maybe stable income, security.
Yeah, for sure.
And just took a chance.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was hard too. Like when you fail, it's absolutely devastating. Like that's like, you know, you've put every single thing you've got into it, and then you fail, and you're like, damn it.
But the weak give up.
Yeah.
You didn't.
I almost did. So when I did the interviews, I walked away from it. I was so nervous the night beforehand. I went to do the interviews, and I was like, I think I slept like 2 hours. I'd had some dessert the night before, and I was blaming the dessert. I was like, the bloody sugar's keeping me awake. Throwing pillows around the room. Luckily,
Just from the anxiety.
Yeah, I think it was just
mate,
everything.
I get it.
And the sugar.
Night before Christmas, eh?
And so it was just pure luck that we were going on our honeymoon the day that I did the interview. So I did the interview, came back to the hotel room, and I was like, I absolutely blew it. Let's go on our honeymoon. And then I just went and enjoyed myself. No, but like it was to like somewhere beautiful. So I like knew that I just had to get that out of my head. Yeah. We went to the Cook Islands and just had the most epic, like 10 days, I think we were there, and then came back, and I'd kind of pretty much forgotten about it. And then one of my mates was applying, and he phoned me up. He's like, did you get a call? And I was like, no. He goes, yeah, I think they've phoned everybody to say like, you guys aren't getting through. And he goes, have you got a call? You probably get one. If you don't get one in the next day or two, like you've gotten in. So I'm just like freaking out. Like just any time my phone did anything, I was like, oh, this is it. And then they didn't call. And then a week later they phoned up and they're like, you're in. And I was just like, wow.
How many people got in for that?
I think you said
For
three.
there was three for Sydney.
Wow.
In our recruit course, I think there was like 24. So it's Australia-wide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mate, that's a sick achievement.
It's good to know that like they're picking the cream of the crop for those jobs, you know, like because it's, you know, high level responsibility, especially when shit goes bad, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of in two minds of it. Like the whole aptitude thing is like you're a firefighter at the end of the day. Like water goes on the hot stuff. Like so like giving you some
Or
like
retardant.
some like complex like check out this pattern and tell us which one's wrong. Like you're not doing that like when you're in a fire, are you?
Or is it just because there's a huge demand and there's a lot of interest in it, so
yeah,
they have to have these things in place.
Easiest way to cull.
To cull.
Yeah.
Speaking of fire and bushfires and stuff like that, can I do a little shout out?
Sure.
I just bought a book last week by Matthew Abbott.
Oh yeah, I saw
about
that.
the bushfires in 2019, 2020. Unbelievable. Like
Amazing.
dead set. Some of the most amazing images I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that on
Get your
social
hands on
media
that.
and I was thinking of grabbing it too because I think the proceeds might go to something to do with the bushfires maybe
I think so.
or a portion of it.
Yeah.
Wise.
But it's just like touching
Yeah, I
and
can
timeless.
imagine.
Like you'll look back on that in 20 years and go, wow.
It's so insane that was last year at the start of everything else going on and it's just like
that was the worst thing that could have happened and then
yeah, it feels like it was like 10 years ago but like
But to be honest, that made me feel worse about life than COVID. Like when I heard about all the koalas in like you know and all the animals dying and people losing their livelihoods, I actually cried.
Yeah.
Like I was at home and Sarah had to like had to comfort me. I was like touched.
yeah, we had like my wife was pregnant at the time so and we were just like what are we bringing this child into this crazy world like we had almost 3 months where we didn't see the blue in the sky. It was just smoke every day.
That's right. We
See,
had Lennox during then. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. He was a baby. Yeah.
See, I missed it. I wasn't here for it.
You're in Bali living the dream.
Oh, bagus.
I just couldn't, but I couldn't fathom it. I was hearing the stories and I was like, nah. Like, so I don't think I'll ever truly understand how gnarly it was.
Yeah, it was like orange for like weeks.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Like you look outside now and you see the blue sky. Didn't see that for 3 months.
I'm pretty sure it was New Year's
3
Eve.
months?
Yeah.
Lance, do you remember?
Yeah, it was pretty much like there was maybe a day or two here or there where it would clear, but it was pretty much every single day.
It was New Year's Eve and we had that like, it was like a nice day, and then all of a sudden, like there was fires like niggling around, and we had that southerly in the arvo, and it was like the southerly of all southerlies.
And it came from like down Bateman's and all that. All the smoke
that's
blew
just
up.
what got everything. And after that, it was like fire for weeks. Yeah, yeah.
It was the perfect storm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we had like a really dry year
I think we
prior
had
to
a
that.
few of them, which just like there was a lot of leaf litter.
Yeah.
There still even is now. Like you go through a lot of the forests that aren't touched, and you're like, well, it could easily happen again, like this year.
Crazy, yeah. So, because I grew up on the South Coast, and I was seeing images, and I was hearing about like old school friends losing their houses, and I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like down on the South Coast, like get out of it. I just couldn't get my head around
fathom it.
Yeah, and it just sort of reminded me of like how precarious our existence in this world is.
Yeah, for sure.
As even now.
Yeah,
like, because then,
definitely.
tack on to that a pandemic. Do you think?
Well, that's we rolled straight out of that into the pandemic.
I feel like Australia's had it the hardest, like the fires to the pandemic, and now we're still in the pandemic, and everyone else is like, what's going on? Like, are you still pandemicking? And we're like, yeah.
You said that so enthusiastically.
yeah, we're still masking up.
Aren't you guys?
Okay, here's a serious question. Like, do you feel like we're a little bit behind the rest of the world in terms of
do we need to go down this road?
Well, I have avoided it for the last year talking about it on here. I really have, because I'm like, I don't want to piss people off and shit, and I don't want to be all polarizing, but I really believe that it's historic, and I'm interested to hear people's opinions and lived experiences with it. Like, regardless of what your opinion is, you're allowed to talk about your lived experience with what's going on.
100%.
So how would you rate your lived experience over the last year?
I would say that it hasn't been that bad here for me. Like, I mean, it's not amazing and it's not ideal, but I'm very lucky to live in Sutherland Shire, which is a beautiful area with, like, we've got the bush, we've got the Royal National Park right here, so you want to go for bushwalks, it's still within our zone. I've got the beach literally out the front of my house. So I've been very lucky, but if I was in a unit in the CBD, I think it would be totally different.
The people
I would
out
be
west
devastated.
in
Yeah, Western Sydney, like those places that got heavy lockdown, and like, they're not allowed to do anything, and they might not have a park near their house that they can go to, or you know what I mean? So like that would be extremely hard. Yeah, I feel very blessed to be where we are, and
it's good, man.
I've been able to
take a positive out of that, though. It really made me appreciate what I did before all this started. Like,
100%.
I missed going down the coast so much. Like, and now when I do go down the coast, I'm going to be like, I love you, I miss you, thank you. Like,
totally. I was driving into Cronulla today, going, this is a bit of a treat. I'm going on a big adventure. I'm on the freeway. Yeah, I mean, and for those that are listening overseas, like the Sutherland Shire, Cronulla is the southern suburbs of Sydney, Australia. So just to clarify,
one's called God's Country. Don't know about that now.
It's just south of the bridge, hey, Pete?
Just south of the bridge.
Yeah, like I guess for me too, like we talk about the bushfires and then, then the pandemic. And I just think, the state of people's mental health must be, completely vulnerable at the moment. Your experience, pretty good.
Definitely.
And you actually acknowledge maybe the level of privilege that you have.
For sure.
The privilege of being able to sit on your balcony right now. I'm looking at your window. I'm looking at beautiful Shelley Park. That's Shelley Park.
Correct.
And the beach, and you can just walk across there. And
yeah.
But like you said, there's a lot of people who have just been suffering hard, and I just want to advocate for as much kindness as possible. I think people are putting on brave faces, but people are struggling, and like we're getting back on track.
I mean, we have had our ups and downs with it too. Like we've got not newborn now. He's 1.5 years old.
COVID baby.
And we've got, like, my mum is on the Gold Coast in Queensland, and they've had the hard border for a while against New South Wales, and then my wife's family are all in Margaret River. So
have they seen the baby?
Yeah, luckily. So the first time we went to go over, the border's shut, and we were like, damn it, missed it. And then the second time they opened, and I just said, you need to leave right now because it could be shut again anytime. So she went over, and then I went over for a week or two. Yeah, or 10 days or something. But that's the only time in the 1.5 years he's been alive, and my mum's only seen him once. So, and she's kind of just up the road on the Gold Coast.
Goddamn federal country. Like, we're one big continent. Why can't we just cross the borders?
So, and that's tough too, like bringing Katie here, my wife here, and like she's left all her family and friends for me, for my career. And then now we're kind of locked inside and like, yeah, it can be hard. Like, yeah.
Totally, man.
Yeah. But again, like we're so lucky we can just go like, well, let's go outside and go for a walk on the beach and kind of.
Are you a glass half full kind of guy generally?
Yeah, you are. Yep.
Or should I say beer?
guess- I
Should I
guess.
say beer half full? Granola beer, go half.
He's a realist, though.
Is he?
Like, he won't give you a false report. How's the surf, Lance? Yeah, not that good. There's a lot
Meanwhile,
of
he
people that go,
shoots.
yeah, it was pumping, eh?
Then he shoots the cover shot while you're like 2 foot wonder.
Oh, probably. Yeah. I think it probably was, eh? Like,
No, that was
That was a low-key day,
that
right?
was a very sneaky session.
yeah,
that one.
Lockie told me.
Yeah, it was. They're the ones that I love down there. The quiet ones.
Well, do you want to let's give us the backstory of the cover, because I'm just sitting here looking at it. I actually hadn't seen the hard copy, the hard copy yet. So give me the backstory about how you got
dare
that.
you? How
that
dare
minute.
you? Get your hands on it right now.
Hey, I looked at it online.
Yeah, he scrolled past it.
Well, it is, which is actually a question I want to ask you about. You know, what sort of feelings do you get looking at a paper image as opposed to a digital image? But let's go back to that actual shot. Tell us about the moment. How'd you get in the moment? What was occurring? You know, moments prior and after that.
Well, I shot that one off the ski, so that was kind of.
Okay.
I didn't actually think it was going to be anything because it was a little bit later in the morning, and usually, you know, the light gets a bit shit when it's around 11 o'clock, and I think it kind of played into my favour in that one because it's a silhouette shot. So, I don't know. I've been down there a lot of times, like chasing that wave. I'm not going to say where it is, but yeah, chasing that wave, and it's so amazing, and it's so much. What's the word? Limits get pushed out there by a lot of people that
More than anywhere else on
don't
this.
have stickers on their boards.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of people out there that shouldn't be out there, but that's another story.
Me.
No. But yeah, so I don't know. I've been trying to swim out there more, which is an absolute pain in the ass.
Oh,
so
Because of the
horrible.
current?
oh yeah, it's like every time a wave comes, it's like someone pulls the plug on the bath, and you're just fighting for your life.
Have you been caught inside?
Heaps of times.
Yeah, right.
Haven't you seen me get caught inside?
Yeah,
there?
maybe.
It's horrible.
I got caught
You're
inside
always
once.
swimming thinking that you're going to get out, and then
You don't.
Just after the first one, you just got to give up. And then,
Steve-
then
Steve
you're
Wall
doing
had
the
to
full
save me
merry-go-round.
But is it one of those waves where it'll recycle you in the impact zone?
No, it just
On a big day?
it washes you.
It'll wash you out?
But where it washes you is pretty. Unless you get picked up by a ski, it's a long swim back.
Yeah.
Because you're
And no one will know that you've been washed either. Like, it's that far away. Everyone's
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah.
especially when you don't have a board or anything, you're just
Yeah.
a head above the whitewash.
Yeah.
What's good about that place is a lot of the skis that are in the channel are when a surfer's on the wave, they're looking to see if they make it. But because
They might not rescue them, but they're looking to see if they make
There's
it.
no other photographer. I'm not trying to blow smoke up, yeah.
Oh, no.
Blow smoke.
There's no other photographer that has got where you've got out there. Hey,
No,
like,
I reckon there is for
oh,
sure.
not in my time.
In
but
terms of swimming and getting the water
nowhere
water
near.
shot. From,
Nowhere near. There's a shot by Jordan Godley that shows the absolute commitment. Like, I'll
I
have to send it to
I
you.
do like that shot.
It shows you the 100%, and it's shot on a film camera, but you see
Black and white.
how critical Lance's position is in the lineup, and there's not a lot of people that I definitely wouldn't swim where he swims.
Yeah.
So-
How big was that day, you think?
This day or the day that of the photos talking about?
The day of the cover shot.
I don't know. Like maybe 8, maybe a couple of random 10-footers.
Okay.
It's kind of a bit of a weird wave. Like,
Is
yeah.
there lulls between
I don't know
sets
if-
and stuff like that?
Yeah, it does that a bit on those smaller sneaky sessions. Like you're kind of more waiting around, and then you just get it can be like quite a few 6 to 8 footers, which are good, and then it'll throw you like one of those things that just goes inside out, top to bottom.
Was that wave of the session?
No, probably. I reckon the other wave that he got in.
I was gonna mention that
in
one.
White Horse magazine, the latest White Horse. There's a picture sequence that O'Neill got off me and run as an ad of
sick.
Lockie as well, and he's like it's a very committed. Like his nose is almost buried on the bottom turn.
It is
and
buried.
Just scoops under this thing that is so hollow.
I reckon that's my favourite ever shot.
Really?
Of
That's
that
a
wave.
big call, Pete.
When Lockie showed me
The white horse one.
yeah, when Lockie showed me that advertisement, I was like, what? Like, what?
Well, I was just so stoked that they grabbed that for Lockie just as much as for me. Like I was frothing because like I said before, like Lockie doesn't really get the recognition that I feel like he should. He's an exceptional human and an exceptional surfer. Like even I went down a couple of days ago, and it was crap out there, but Lockie was out there, and a couple of little like 6-footers come through, and I was just watching him surf, and I was like, man, what you do with a 10-foot board is just insane. Like it's absolutely insane. He was turning so last minute, like even catching the bodyboarders offhand, and they're taken off late.
Yeah.
He's almost taking off under the lip, but like spinning around as the lip's about to pitch and just like catching it so last minute.
Taking off under the lip.
Pretty much, like, yeah.
See, I asked him that question too, because like my initial reaction to that would be on a 10-foot board, taking off on a slab under the lip, that you're going to nosedive every time.
I don't even know how.
How does he do it? Does he go sideways and like just fully knife it sideways? I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm still just in awe about how much he turns around so quickly. Let alone just then there's the takeoff. Just a mal, he just pivots it.
Yeah,
just like bang, he's on it. Like 2 seconds.
It's longer than
like
Mal's.
It's 1 second later.
Yeah,
He's
right.
like,
My log's 9.6. His boards are longer than my logs.
it's crazy, hey.
But he does nosedive every time. Like I've got photos from another session at another place, and through the sequence, I see that like there's like 3 photos where the nose is buried under the water.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand.
He was so frothing after that photo. Like, that's all he could say to me. He's like, it felt so technical, like, I swear I was like burying the nose in it. Like, I really want to see it. And then I spoke to Rob, and Rob was like, yeah, we'll grab it off you. We want to run it as an ad in the next one as like a present to Lockie, because like it's been with us for so long. And I was like, oh yeah. And Lockie kept like messaging me going, hey man, can you send us those shots? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll send them through. But I didn't want to send them till like it had come in print and he'd actually seen it, because I was just like, he's going to be so frothing on this.
Okay, dude.
I sent them to him the other day, and I was like, sorry, man, I wanted to hold out. Like, I wanted it to be a big surprise for you. I don't know if he knew beforehand, but like, yeah, I wanted him to see it in print first.
Do you feel like now you have a unique connection with Lockie?
Yeah, I think Lockie has a unique connection with everyone, to be honest.
I was just about
like,
to say that. Like, whenever you're in his presence, you immediately feel that, hey.
Dude.
And he's very, he pays attention to what you're saying. And
Well, what about with other surfers you shoot and you get that sick shot, Do you feel, even if you don't know the surfer that well, do you just establish like a long-term connection with them?
Yeah, I think so. Well, yes and no. I mean, we're all just people at the end of the day. Some people you connect with, some people you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time, guys are pretty frothing. So, yeah.
You've got good connections with plenty of surfers, hey?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mooney?
Yeah, Mooney's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was down there that day, actually. He was trying to get tips off Lockie because he'd never surfed the wave before. And I was thinking, like, Mooney's just an animal anyway. Yeah. Like, he's well accomplished. And he was hitting him up going, don't know.
Nice, man.
Bury the nose, Lockie.
Just bury the nose.
Yeah, no, I just really feel like I just think what you and Pete do, aside from, bringing some beautiful images and stoking people out, and I just also think, like, when you're documenting regularly, you're creating a legacy.
For sure. I think Pete does that really well.
Why?
Just because he documents a lot of stuff, and
aside from surfing.
Outside of surfing, and his style of it is it's pretty amazing. Like I just think that you capture moments really well. Thanks. Like it's not just a photo; it's like you can see there's a moment happening there. Like Kirk and all that, painting the car the other day. Like, you know what I mean?
With the umbrella?
Yeah, you're really good at capturing the everyday, even mundane moments.
Are you talking about the one with Kirk painting the car and he's holding an umbrella?
Yeah.
That's so unique, that shot.
And like even just people running down the beach and stuff, I've noticed you you're getting very into like using shadows and stuff like that to frame people.
Thanks for
and
noticing, Lance. Cheers.
yeah,
Right, man. Yeah, it's funny because I used to I think when the iPhone or when the smartphone really, hit the world, and because I remember when I had a digital camera before there was smartphones, and I remember going, oh well, photography's ruined now because it's all digital and it's all on this card. Look, I've got 150 photos on this card.
Bam, here comes social media.
Yeah, and that was before. And then then the smartphone came out, and it's like, oh wow, I've got 10,000 photos in my phone, and they're all rubbish. And I was like, and I'm going to just post them on this and that. And I thought, oh well, photography's dead, but I feel like it's not dead at all. I feel like it's just breeding better photography.
Yeah,
It's never going to be dead, I don't think.
You don't think?
but I
No.
think it's definitely been held back by social media and stuff like that.
Held back.
Yeah, because it's just not held back, just oversaturated.
Yeah.
Like very oversaturated.
Yeah.
Everyone's got like a 10 or 12, I don't even know what the iPhones are or whatever phone megapixel
I'm still
camera they
running
have in their
7,
pocket. And like,
6.
You win.
I had an
Some-
11. I sent it back.
some people, shoot surfing images on iPhones now in like a phone case. So like it's
And they get
yeah.
good shots.
Yeah, they do. They actually, everyone's idea of a good shot is different. So you can't, like, the people I'm talking about do get good shots, but then other people might just think, oh, it's been done before, blah, 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 blah. But
Can I ask you a question, Lance? You're a photographer. Do you ever take photos on your phone? If it's not your kids and your
I was
wife,
going to say just to Phoenix.
yeah. Apart from that, anything?
No. I would say if I go to a concert or something like that, but we haven't done that in about 2 years now. So
Why's that? Yeah, me neither. Hey, like
Yeah.
if I take a photo of my phone, I'm like, I'll get my camera.
no, I've just got heaps of screenshots actually.
Yeah.
Just screenshotting things.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean,
inspirational quotes.
here's the memes for days. But it's like, is it the equipment or is it the actual person that takes a good shot? So, like, I've got a friend, he takes amazing iPhone shots, and they're very atmospheric. And I'll be with him sometimes. We're walking down the street. It's like, oh, wait, just stand there for a second. And then he caught this awesome image of a cloud moving behind the building while I was walking past with the silhouette. I'm like, and it looks rad.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
I was like, well, it's just because he had the eye.
well, that's the eye.
right.
Like I remember seeing the Heath Ledger documentary, and they were saying that his eye was like that. Like he'd have his camera out. He was really into photography.
He had a Hasselblad.
Yeah, and he'd
Yeah.
have his
Did he?
camera out, and he'd be taking. They'd think like I think it was his dad or someone was saying, "Oh, you'd be looking at him, you'd be thinking he's taking a photo of the lake here, and he's not. He's taking a photo of a pond or a puddle next to him, and it's a reflection of a bird flying.
Yeah.
And it's just that different eye, I guess.
What an unfortunate thing it was losing that guy.
for
He was
sure.
so talented, hey.
Yeah, man, it's heavy.
R.I.P. Heathy.
I mean, that's another conversation, I guess. But I mean, again, like I talk about this a lot. Like, you can't underestimate the danger of mental isolation, and that's my opinion. Because when you're holding things in and you're not talking about things and you're becoming reclusive, and I know I can do it sometimes if I'm not running well. I won't answer the phone sometimes, and yeah, you can get into a really dark hole mentally.
sure.
Maybe that's what happened to him. What do you think?
I think
'Cause I know
this
he-
is what I heard. He got too into the character of the Joker.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And I think it was
but
causing.
there had to be something else there that, you know what I mean? You can't just...
I heard a lot of people didn't want to back up Jack Nicholson's character, and he was like, "I'll do it," and then he got so deep into it that he kind of lost his mind a little bit.
But that's what I
might
mean.
be wrong.
But they had
No,
to...
no,
No, I
similar.
did hear that too, but I think there also has to be already something there to... Maybe that was the trigger of something.
like Joaquin Phoenix's
Yeah.
one, you watch that, you're like,
Whoa.
that must be damaging playing that character.
Well,
Oh,
on the whole, artist and mental health thing, I lived with a photographer called Martin Tellermans. He was one of the original surf photogs, and he had bipolar, and he would, I think that kind of helped him with his art, but it's seeing things from a different angle and But unfortunately, he battled with that, and it kind of ruined him in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marty was a real good dude.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. My last guest, Grant Treblecoat, started this.
I listened to that one. It's really good.
Cool, yeah, no, and he's an amazing guy who had who speaks really openly about his bipolar, started up an initiative called One Wave is All It Takes, and Fluoro Friday at Bondi Beach, where they have a group circle and they talk about their mental health. But he just decided to turn his mental illness into what was considered a liability, turned it into an asset. And superpower. And you know that comedian and now he's an independent journalist, Russell Brand?
Yeah.
You know,
no, who? Never heard of him.
I'm being too obvious.
Does he do movies?
He did. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Did you ever see that? Fuck, I love that movie.
So good.
Anyway, I remember I read his book and he talked about how he got diagnosed with, bipolar, just struggled with, he was self-medicating and then just was told by a doctor, oh, you got bipolar, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. And he's like, well, okay, that's limiting me. And just made a decision to self-manage through a shitload of meditation, clean living. And, you look at him now, he seems like he's thriving.
Yeah, he does.
He's pretty fucking wise, that guy.
Yeah. Have you read his books?
Like, so wise. How do you go from becoming a junkie to, like straight up, like, almost Gandhi?
But do you ever watch his
That's a book title right there.
That's maybe when you write your memoirs. But did you ever watch his stuff on YouTube? And he reports on the news and discusses the political climate. Like, I think he's like an awesome independent journalist.
For sure, very articulate. And he comes out with the biggest words.
Yeah,
stuff you've never heard before.
What's that word?
Yeah, and I don't think he's owned by any corporate media companies. So I like what he has to say.
No, I don't feel like he is, but you never know these days, do you?
You never know.
Who are you?
Everyone owns. No one owns me.
Not yet.
No, I'm owned. I won't say by who. Yeah, man.
I think Van Gogh might have had bipolar as well.
Well, yeah, but then he drank
or something.
He drank some absinthe.
A lot of absinthe.
Cut his ear off.
That could have set it off.
Have you ever had absinthe?
I have.
Dude, it's gnarly.
A couple of times, actually.
I had it in
Gay.
Have you had it?
Yeah, they used to light it on
disgusting.
fire at the bar for you and then you'd shot it. Is that the one, the green thing?
It's disgusting, but when you're drinking it, you're usually drinking it to get a job done, and it gets the job done.
Is it
legal in Australia?
Yeah.
It's like it's got like a fairy on the logo.
I worked at a bottler, and I had a bottle. It was $100, and it was made by Marilyn Manson.
No way.
Yeah, Marilyn Manson makes his own absinthe because that's all he drinks.
Wow, man.
Yeah. Wild character.
That guy is wild.
I actually just seen a photo of him recently. He looked like
He looks horrible at the moment.
like a 90-year-old woman.
I mean, he's never looked good, but...
Dude, I remember I seen him at the big day out, show my age year,
I was there for
1999.
that. Yeah.
I was there too.
At this, when it was the first one at Homebush, Sydney Olympic Park.
Yeah,
And I
it was
remember-
a Gold Coast one for me.
That's right, the same tour. And I just remember watching him come out. I was like, I'm watching pure evil. Like, it was so evil.
So he got wheeled out on the Gold Coast one on and he was in a straitjacket, and one of my mates had to wheel him out, and he was spitting on him, calling him all these names and stuff. Yeah, my mate was like, he is as loose as you think he is.
Yeah.
Remember that it might have been a conspiracy when he had that concert. And he released the puppies into the crowd and said, I'm not playing music until you kill them all.
I feel like that was a made-up media. I don't know. I heard it too, but now that I look back, I think that's kind of most normal people would think that's the worst publicity you could ever get, but we're still talking about it now.
So the listeners listening to this, comment below if this is true or not.
Dude, I just can see the animal rights activists just going ballistic.
But yeah, so I don't reckon it actually happened. I reckon it was just all a media thing. They put it out there through the right channels. It filters out. Everybody starts talking about it, and bang, he goes on tour that year. All of a sudden, he's selling tickets.
All the metalheads go,
stuff.
where's the puppies?
You'd be surprised what publicity, things they do for publicity.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the climate of our world at the moment, Again, I'm trying not to talk about this shit, but the mainstream media, those fuckers work on if it bleeds, it leads.
For sure.
And any publicity is good publicity, and it's ratings, and it's just perpetuating so much bad shit.
It's not
And
so
it
much
all-
fact checking anymore. It's like whatever gets a click, we'll run it.
Yeah, no fact
But
check.
why? You know, but what? Like, I think most of these journalists they would have set out with the best intentions originally.
For sure.
So what changes in them? You guys are in the
Money.
You're
money.
in the media sphere. Yeah, it's money, and deadlines and pressure and
Yeah,
and they're
it's
probably
like I think Jed was saying on your one, you know, all of a sudden this guy's got a mortgage and everything, and then his editor's saying, if you write that, see you later. Exactly. And he's like, okay, then I'll just write it. Like, who cares anyway? Like, they don't realise what they're doing. But it's all tied into politics and everything as well, which sucks because, like, you know, Murdoch and all that kind of jazz. I don't really want to go too deep on this.
No. It's funny. I don't like going too deep. You know why? Because I'm scared of leading with the chin or setting myself up for ridicule. Because maybe I lack the education or the knowledge to speak with any authority about that stuff.
For sure.
But I also feel like that's oppressive as well, because we do live in a society now where we are so petrified of being ridiculed for having an opinion.
Yeah. And it's so heavily right or left now too. Like, you say anything the wrong way and it's like all of a sudden everyone jumps on your back from the other side, and then you try to explain yourself and then everyone on the other side jumps on you. Well,
in your experience as an Australian, have you ever seen Australia in this state? In this state of affairs of being a clear division between left and right?
Probably not, I think. But then again, I also think, like, was I just blind to it growing up? Yeah. Like, if I could turn myself 18 years old right now, am I thinking about it? Or are they just in the exact same situation? Are they just completely blasé, have no idea, and then they start getting a bit older and going, hold on, wait, we're getting bent over here.
Totally.
So it's hard to really know. Because like I always think about like my parents, and they would always, you know, have a rant here and there about politicians, this, that and the other. And I just, whatever, who cares? Yeah. I'll just draw a dick on my thing anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then I got to about 25 and I started actually ticking the right boxes, or the boxes that I think are right.
Yeah, true. I just think in our country.
I swear I've done that too, eh?
Well, you don't want to get the fine. You've got to go in there and do something.
Off, eh?
Yeah, it's funny. On the ballot paper. I mean, you know, let's face it, like, there's a lot of people who just do a donkey vote, you know, because they're just so disillusioned. Like, people have just lost so much trust in our political system.
Yeah. Definitely.
And it's sad.
The hard thing is it's never going to change either. It's always going to be the two main political parties, and they're always going to have power, one of them. And
it is funny, hey, Labor, Liberal, like, how come they're always winning?
It's never going to change because they have the money. Like, I remember seeing somebody, I think it was Sean actually, from Surfing World, posted a thing saying, wouldn't it be interesting if everyday pollies went into work, they had to wear a jacket that had all their corporate sponsors on it. And he posted a photo of Tony Abbott, and he said this guy wouldn't have any room on his jacket, and it was all just oil companies and stuff like that. And it's like, how are they trying to give us, the common person, the best deal when they've got to tick off like 500 different companies' agendas first?
Exactly.
You know,
and combine that with what are relatively short political terms in office.
Definitely.
So I feel like there's no long-term vision. Like, really, they're not going to implement long-term strategy.
They don't care about net zero by 2050 because they'll be retired on $300,000 a year then.
Do you care about net zero for 2050?
100%.
Why?
I think it should be net zero by 2030.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like 2050, like, am I going to even be there?
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Exactly.
2030.
How old are you, Pete?
32, but you never know.
You're going to be there. Although you charge so hard, you know.
Yeah.
No, actually, let's not talk about it like that. We're not talking about that. You're going to be here forever. God. Oh, okay. So this happens on the podcast quite regularly. This is what Lance just did. He got his microphone, he took it away from his mouth, and then he pointed to his crutch, and then mouthed the words,
I got to get my nut off.
Bathroom. Yeah, dude. So we've got two options here. We can pause it.
We're pausing right now.
Or me and Pete can just keep talking because we do have
talk.
Pete here.
That's good.
What do you reckon, Pete? And we can time him.
Back in a sec.
I'm nervous now. The attention's on me.
Yeah, no, you are. So Pete, how has your life changed since last time since you were on the podcast?
Actually, it has changed a lot.
Really? How?
Yeah. I actually bit the bullet and last week I resigned from my job.
Congratulations.
Which has been one of the things that's been hurting me the most, and took a little leap of faith, and I'm sort of trusting in my judgment, and I'm changing jobs, working for a mate, a good friend actually, who's given me the flexibility and freedom to chase my dream. So hoping that works out. So that's changed. What else has changed? Not a lot else.
Stop the clock.
He's back.
Dude, that was so quick.
Did you even shake after that? I just got started talking about myself and you're back already.
No, congrats, Pete. And I think, that's why I'm really stoked to have you here today, because, it sounds like you're making decisions to actually follow your heart a little bit more and maybe, chase the passion you have.
And it's through meeting people like yourself, like Lance, like Kirk, like Lockie, that inspire me to do things like that. Like, the older I've gotten, the more sensitive I am to people that impact my life positively. And then they give me advice, and I take that now. Like, rather than going I'm comfortable, I don't want your advice. People say to me like maybe you should move on from that and try something else. And now I'm like, you know what? I think it's time. Like what Lance was saying before. Like he had a comfortable job, but he didn't like it, and he took that leap of faith. And that's where I'm at now. So yeah,
Sick.
yeah,
love that, bro. And it's scary. And you have a young family as well, so it's not like this throwaway decision, or is it?
I think I know it's not the end of the world if it doesn't work out.
Okay.
We live in Australia, and I live in Sydney. There's so much stuff out there. To think that one job that I got now is mine for the rest of my life is so stupid. Like, there's so many opportunities if you're willing to take a chance, and
Love that, man.
yeah.
Cool, man.
I'm stoked for you too, because I remember when I first met you, was that 2 years ago now I've been here?
Yeah.
You were saying, man, I wish I could get a job where it would just let me at least be part-time so I could shoot my stuff that I want to shoot in between. And now you're there.
I was actually
How good's
thinking
that?
today about the first time I met you, Such a shameful
It's
meeting.
all good. he heavily localised me.
We were at Shark Island, and I'd never seen him before, and I was in the channel shooting, and this guy swims up, and he's kind of sitting shoulder to shoulder with me, and I was like, "Oh, hey mate, best part of the wave is sort of down there a little bit,
No, it was, you said to me, "Oh, what lens are you shooting with?"
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I've got a 35mm." And he's like, I go, "What are you shooting with?" And he goes, "Oh, 50." And he goes, "Yeah, you should probably sit behind me." And I was like, for anybody that doesn't know photography, so a 35mm, you've got to be a lot closer to your subject than a 50mm. So he's kind of gone like, "Oh yeah, you should sit back there then."
Pete.
And in my
But
head,
this is because he
in
doesn't
my head,
put photos of himself. I didn't know who he was. When he goes, "I'm Lance Morgan," I was like, "Oh damn." Sorry about that.
But in my head too, I was like, is he just trying to see if I know the difference between a 35mm and a 50mm here? That's all good. No, I accepted. I went back and I was like, yeah, I don't live here. I've got to pay my respects. So it wasn't even, if it wasn't you, it would have been someone else. And to be honest, I totally kind of agree with that. Like, if you can't just come from out of town and jump in the front and what I mean?
I've got another opinion that something's changed in me, and it's been in the last couple of weeks.
In regards to localism?
Yeah, I was speaking to someone the other day, and they wanted to surf a wave around here, and he said to me is it okay if I come and surf this wave? And this is a young kid, he's 18, Oscar Langburn from the Central Coast, and he wanted to surf one of the waves up here. And I was like, mate, to have a person like you surf one of our good waves is like a gift. It's someone talented surfing a wave that is special. Of course we want to see, we should all want to see people surfing our waves and sharing, because nothing's ours.
No, not at all.
And it's the same in photography, to have Lance shooting Shark Island, a wave that, was the first wave of consequence that I shot. To see his representation of that wave is cool, come out and shoot it. I know that photos bring crowds and this and that, but in an art perspective, I want to see what his interpretation of a heavy wave out there looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Especially when it's a wave that's been heavily documented anyway.
Yep.
I do get it when it's a bit of a spot that's off the radar. I do appreciate there's that level of let's try and protect this for a while.
Yep.
But I guess I was just thinking given how popular surfing is, and by rightly so, it's an awesome thing to do. Do you think localism is getting better or worse from your perspective? Being in a lot of lineups.
It's probably better now, I think.
Not as full on, is it?
As long as people are still showing respect, I went to Tahiti for a couple of weeks and just went to some of the outer islands, and I was reading on a website where you can check surf spots and find out where they are and stuff. I won't name it so that it doesn't send people anywhere they're not meant to.
But those websites still exist.
I was going to say, is there any real secrets these days?
Anyway, and all it was saying about this one island was don't go there. It's gnarly. You'll get beat up, or you'll get kicked out. You won't get any waves. And so I was
you were like, where's my fisheye?
No. Well, I was on the boog, so I was bodyboarding then. And I went and I found this reef they were talking about, and it was absolutely pumping. And I went out there and I was shitting myself because there was 5 or 6 big Tahitian boys out there. And all I did was I sat on the end of the bowl and I just got the waves they didn't want. And after half an hour, one of them came over, paddled over, started chatting to me. Where are you from? And I was scared saying that because they said any Australians aren't welcome here. Any Australians and Americans aren't welcome here because they've obviously, someone's written it and they've had a bad experience.
You said I'm born in Ireland. I live in the Solomon Islands.
No, I said I'm from Australia, and they. I said I'm from Australia, and I was like, he goes, mate, come up and get a few. And I was like, oh, I'm all good. I'm happy to just, I'm happy to get these waves. I'm stoked to be out here. It's so beautiful. Blah blah blah. Paddled off, came back out, and he's like, nah, come up the front. And then from then on, they were calling me into every single set that came through.
Amazing,
over them.
Wow.
A set would come and they were like, go, go, go. And I was like, I've just had barrel after barrel after barrel, and they're still just calling me into waves. And
you charmed them.
Yeah, no, I just showed respect. I showed that I wasn't there just to take their waves, take photos of it, go and post it on the internet.
Another
tell my
good
friends
story by
about
Lance
it.
Morgan.
It is.
There's been 2 good ones this podcast.
It's only 2.
The career thing and now this.
He hasn't hit the applause yet. I've been waiting.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, dude. I saved that for very, very special stories.
No, but I think it's wherever you go, there's respect. When you show respect, you'll get it back to you in spades.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
Good message. And that's everywhere, whether it's the surf lineup or the shopping centre.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. We're all in this together at the end of the day, even though everyone thinks they aren't, but we are.
Yeah, dude. That's right. It's such these are nice messages, man. So thank you.
Thanks.
Well, listen, man, it's been epic.
Yeah, feels like just
and I
chatting
am
with long lost mates here.
Dude, it's nice. I know.
Yeah,
I'm so stoked. And
you've got that gift, Shan.
You do. You definitely.
Yeah.
I was saying on the phone before that I listening to your podcast, trying to get a feel for your interview style. And I was like, he just asks really good question and seems to make people feel really comfortable.
Dude,
and you do, for sure.
Thank you, man.
And I'm so happy to be on here, man. Thank you so much. It's a massive honour with some of the guests that you've had. I feel, so honoured. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right back at you, man. I'm so grateful. I say this a lot, but I work on an intuitive sense when I select my guests. I always have. I just work on that feeling. And, I got that good feeling with you, man. So it's meant to be, bro. And it was also meant to be to have Peter Balmer on here, someone who I feel like is kind of just been a bit of a soul brother from another mother. So thank you, sir. And listen, it's been epic, and I am, conscious of the fact that you do have a wonderful 18-month-old baby who probably would like to be using the lounge. And,
he's not. You'd know if he was here. You'd know he was here. He'd be into everything that we've got right now.
He'd be pressing that applaud button.
Yeah,
Cool.
He's a little legend with a lot of energy.
How has fatherhood changed you?
How has it changed me? I don't know. I think it's slowed me down. It's made me see things a little bit differently. It's definitely taught me patience. And I think every parent can attest to that. Like, you definitely learn to be patient with them.
And
Sleep?
And you
self-noise
learn to-
cancellation in your own ears.
Yeah,
like,
you learn to operate on less sleep, that's for sure. But yeah, he's pretty good. He's a little dude. I love him.
Yeah, man. It's a game changer, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations.
I'm scared of having number 2. Like, number 2's not coming yet. That wasn't
definitely
like an announcement. But
part
like,
of the plan?
Number 2's a plan for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll see when it happens. But yeah, that's scary going into number 2, I reckon.
Like, I'm sorry, I want to pressure a little bit on this, you know, as a father myself who has passions and interests. Is that dictating your photography or surf sessions? And are you doing those things with elements of guilt now?
I wouldn't say guilt, but I've definitely toned everything back in the last 6 or 9 months, I'd say. Because
More calculated?
just a lot more like coming from the perspective of my wife, who like I've made her move to Sydney away from all her family, friends, support group, everything. And I kind of feel like it's a bit hard for me to go and enjoy myself all the time when she's at home looking after our son. So yeah, I'm definitely timing things a lot more now. Like, the maybe sessions are more maybe not sessions. And I'm just trying to look for like the real standout swells and stuff like that, just for the minute.
Yeah,
I've got hopefully another, I don't know, maybe 10 years of swimming around in the impact zone.
You think your body can only handle that for 10 years?
I don't know. I don't really see anybody else over
It means in 10
40.
years you'll have a ski.
Dude, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay.
So, yeah, getting on.
Yeah. I mean, I used to think that too, that, you know, like, because I'm 44.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm too old for this and I'm too old for that. But, I mean, Kelly Slater's a good example, but I'm actually feeling stronger in a lot of ways than ever. And also, I'm doing the things I love, like surfing and skateboarding, with much more thought and more calculated. And the ego has stepped back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it more than ever. Like, I surf, and I've surfed for many years, but I'm a really passionate skateboarder as well. And I actually feel like at 44 that I'm actually improving.
That's good to know.
I never thought that. But I also think that it's a byproduct for me of, you know, I've done yoga for 20 years. I do a lot of deep breathing. I've tried to really eat well, don't drink alcohol. And I just feel like these are the gifts of that lifestyle that I now get to enjoy.
Yep.
So I just thought I'd share that. I don't want to sound like an egomaniac, but that's just what I'm finding.
I've definitely, in the last, I reckon, 3 years, probably, felt it's some of my best years, maybe.
For sure,
and maybe
dude.
not even throwing Phoenix in there, just like, I don't know, I feel like rejuvenated or something like that.
Well, my friend,
something strange has happened inside me. Maybe it's a midlife crisis.
Well, dude, one of my friends in Wollongong, Nathan Vickery, if you're listening to this, like, he's an amazing surfer, always has been, you know, underground sort of guy, surfed his whole life. But I've noticed when he had his first kid, he surfed way less, but 100% he just started surfing so much better. I feel like he improved out of sight.
Wow.
Once he had kids. And we're just like dad power.
Dad power.
It's dad power. You get this dad power.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The only thing I definitely have noticed is my recovery is it takes a little bit longer, and I feel like, I have to do more of the like stretching and all that kind of stuff now.
Dude, I'm going to plug something. The Andrew Huberman Lab podcast with neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. Just talks about the science of physiology and just strategies for health and wellness. And no woo-woo shit, but just talks about, look, this is the science. Like, if you put a little bit of creatine in your water 20 minutes before you do vigorous physical activity, this is going to happen.
Yep.
And just, oh my God. And like, also full tuition on how to save your knees before you've had a knee injury, all these Amazing preventative things. And man, I've learnt so much from that podcast. So the Huberman Lab.
I'm a big fan of science-backed research and that.
you?
Yeah, massively. I just think that science has come a long way, and there's so much information out there. Like, you can Google almost anything and type, research in front of it, and you'll come up like with 10 different research articles. So they know just so much about the body and the mind. Well, the mind, they're getting there, but you know what I mean? Like what they knew 20 years ago to now is just totally different.
Yeah.
And even going on the mind thing, like the mind over matter thing in this Surfing World magazine, they're talking to, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Do you know, it's Mick Campbell's partner.
I read that article about him and Mick Campbell and his wife, and they're this really good team. And so, she's an amazing surfer as well.
She done like her ACL or something like that, like destroyed it surfing. And she went to the doctor and they're like, basically, you're going to need knee reconstruction. She was like, fuck, this is not happening to me. Mm-hmm. And she went and I think Mick was working on the trawlers, and she's just started like researching like ACLs, or I don't know if it was exactly an ACL, something to do with her knee, leg area. She started researching it, and she's like, no, I'm going to beat this thing. Yeah. And she just started stretching and getting in that mind frame, like, I'm going to beat this.
Dude.
And they were living out of their troopy at the time. And so he's going to work, and she's just sitting in the troopy, stretching herself, getting in the park at Yamba, stretching herself, getting in that mind frame, eating, she said, like just eating like the cleanest food, like just fresh fish, fresh veggies. And she got in this mind frame. Just remember, not everyone can do this. Like some people you have to go, there goes my alarm. Some people have to go and get surgery. But anyway, after a year of stretching and doing all this work herself, she went to the doctors thinking like, righto, they're going to pencil me in for the surgery now. Yeah. Took an MRI, and the doctor said, you're not going to believe this. It's completely healed. And she's just like, I just knew that it was going to be. And so she was thinking, I'm about to get surgery and be not walking for another year. Yeah. And she's just put in all this hard work, and maybe even like the brain is just a crazy thing. And she just talked herself, I think, into this situation, and then she gave her body everything that it needed.
100%. Yeah, I mean, food is medicine. I do believe that. I mean, obviously there's a place for surgery, but I think, sick shot. I feel like you can avoid it. And that was actually the catalyst for me to stop drinking alcohol, because I had this chronic ankle injury that wouldn't heal, and I had 2 surgeries, and it was constantly inflamed. And went to all these different doctors, and I'm like, okay. And this injury lasted for like 6 years. And this one doctor goes, you know what, like, do you drink alcohol? I was like, yeah, I do. He goes, like, maybe just try, like, reducing the alcohol. There's, like, it's really inflamed, and it might help with the reduction of inflammation. And what do you know? Like, I was like, I'll go a month off alcohol and see what. And what do you know? It started to go down. And then I just started eating, like making my body very, like a lot of green veggies. What do you call it when you
alkalizing?
Alkalize my body. And I just felt, and then my ankle, it just got better and better. Yeah. And also, one last thing, sorry, I'm talking a bit. I was speaking to Dylan Longbottom not too long ago at his factory, and he had a knee injury, and the doctor said he should get an ACL surgery. And he did all this research and found out about some soccer player that rehabbed his way out of an ACL surgery. Dylan did the same thing.
Same thing.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's like,
question the status quo, man.
Yeah, for sure. And that comes back to what we were talking about, the science-backed research and stuff like that. Like there's all kinds of stuff out there that can, help you heal and do whatever. Help you know yourself better. And
this is the thing, man. We have so much access to information. Like, let's use it for good, not evil.
Yeah.
Now, listen, man, I ask all guests to come to the podcast with a cause they want to support or advocate for. I'm hopeless. I meant to warn you before the podcast, but if you don't have anything, I often ask guests to advocate for a charity or a social enterprise or a cause or even a philosophy that they believe in. I wait up, and so you got something?
Yeah, got something.
Okay, so Pete's passing it over. This is rad.
I've been thinking about it for a couple of days.
Yes, man.
Been listening to the podcast. So I was
Lovely.
like, well, he's obviously going to hit me with this question.
I am. I should have warned. Sorry, I didn't warn you, bro.
So it's savethechildren.org.au, and they work in the Pacific Islands and basically help children go to school or medical costs or anything like that.
So where are they based?
I think they're Australian, but the one I'm looking at is savethechildren.org.au, and maybe it's Pacific Islands.
Okay, so Save the Children. Cool, man.
Because I don't know.
Why did that one speak to you?
Well, so I had a brother that passed away when I was younger, and my parents went through all that kind of stuff. And we were in the Solomon Islands at the time, and that was, they had to fly to Sydney basically for his medication, and then we had to go back there, and it's super third world. Like there's, rats running around in the hospital. And then when I had my child, he had some complications when he was first born, and just being a parent, like it's so hard being in that situation, and especially for them, like they're in mud huts. You know what I mean? Like I felt helpless here in a hospital that had all the equipment, all the knowledge, and you're just like, yeah, like it would be so heartbreaking for them.
Hell yeah, Lance.
Respect, brother. Thank you for sharing that. So if you scroll down in this episode, you'll find a link to savethechildren.org.au. Get on, check it out, see how you can support, how you can be involved. I always advocate for being actually active in these things. Donating money is also good. And you can find this podcast on all the major platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, Chartable.com. But the best place to look at is terriblehappytalks.com, has its own built-in media player, and there's also links to our sponsors. And if you click on those sponsors, it'll take you directly to the website, and by supporting them, you are indirectly supporting me. So get on it. And last thing, got a gift for you, Lance. So did you end up getting your shoes, Pete?
No.
I swear,
Apparently they've been sent, dude.
Making false promises here.
This has happened in my apartment before.
But apparently it's an Australian Post issue.
Oh, yeah, the postage is so bad at the moment. And like weeks behind. I've sent prints out to people, then they're taking like 2 weeks to get from like Brisbane to the Gold Coast.
Okay, interesting. So our friends at Indosol will be sending you a pair of flip-flops or slides made from repurposed motor vehicle tyres. So thank you, Indosol.
Stoked.
And I can assure you they'll come eventually.
I saw them in a shop the other day. They actually look so sick.
Yeah, I remember seeing them in a magazine a long time ago and thinking that is an epic idea because there's a lot of tyres in Indonesia.
Oh, dude.
So, like, it's such a good thing. Like,
it's interesting to
they're just burning them.
Oh, burning them. Oh, then they store them. This is something I didn't realise happens. When they just store them, they get water in them from the rain, and then it becomes this huge breeding ground for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And then they have problems with malaria.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. So they're fucking evil on every level.
And then they catch on fire.
Then they
because you always see. You ever seen like when like places catch on fire? They have tire fires. They burn for days and days, and it's so toxic.
Well, they're made from like oil-based products.
Yeah, it's so good.
So yeah,
Stoked.
man. So those guys will be sending you a pair of that, and I know that you're passionate environmental advocate, and so I just love that you advocate for that stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm tired.
Stoked. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super stoked to come on here.
It's been such a pleasure. And lastly, big shout out and thanks to Peter Balmer.
Thanks for having me again.
What do you reckon?
Thanks, Pete.
Leave it there.
Legend.
Dude, you didn't even get a round of applause, man. So you better say something profound.
Give me one.
Say something profound.
I'm done.
Oh, that's the one for Jed Smith. Oh, that's another one. Here we go.
SSBST.
Oh, that's another one. There we go.
Cheers, Shan.
You.
Thank you.